Hi everyone, hope you're having a great day today and thank you for coming to watch our video. Let's get started. Two brief introductions. My name is Mohit and I'm a senior solutions architect at AWS and I'm based in San Diego, California. I've been at AWS for over 3 years now, but I've been using AWS professionally for the past 9 years in my 15 plus years of IT career as a software engineer, DevOps engineer, DevSecOps engineer before I joined AWS. I'm really excited to present to you how this workshop, what we have created, works with my friend and co-presenter on.
Thank you, Mohit. And I'm Oren Waldman. I'm a senior solutions architect like Mohit. And I will start by showing you the architecture that we're going to be using for today's chatbot. So the architecture is relatively straightforward. What you see here on the left side is what we call a Workshop Studio user. That's you using the workshop. It's going to be us today in terms of the video. And you're going to be logging into Amazon SageMaker, specifically into an IDE that is running within Amazon SageMaker in something called SageMaker Studio. You're going to be doing your coding there, very straightforward. We've actually provided the code for you, and we're going to give you a step-by-step, and you'll see how we do that in the video. And the code, it's going to be leveraging several AWS services. One of them is Amazon Bedrock. That's our service that allows you to use foundation models very easily with just API calls. You're going to be able to use that today. You're going to actually use two different foundation models. One is Amazon Titan, the other is Anthropic from Anthropic Claude. And you'll be able to see how easy it is to switch between the two of them. So the reason for that is we believe that there are different use cases out there in the world. There isn't just one foundation model to rule them all, and we're making it easy to use many foundation models as you want and to be able to switch between them very easily. Again, today you're going to see how you could switch between those two. Another service is called Amazon Kendra. Amazon Kendra is our indexing service. It'll allow you to index any data source, and working hand in hand with the foundation model will allow your chatbot to produce results. Now, in terms of data source, today in the video, we're going to be using Amazon S3 to store several PDF documents that are specific to our use case, which is a DevSecOps chatbot. And so we've provided some files, a few PDF files that you're going to download and then put into the S3 bucket. Again, I'm going to show you how to do that in the video today. And once you put those files into the S3 bucket, Amazon Kendra is going to index those, and we're going to show you how to do that. You're going to add a data source. It's going to create that index for that data source, and then all of these services will work hand in hand to make that chatbot work. Time to jump into our workshop. So first I'm going to start with an overview. The workshop itself, the idea is to build a chatbot. Now this chatbot is geared toward DevSecOps engineers, but it could actually, the same services can be used really to build a chatbot that can be used for many, many different types of use cases. So although we do specifically use examples here and the data and the files for DevSecOps, again, most of the workshop can be applied to other use cases as well. So I'm going to start with an overview of the different sections, and then we'll dive into some of the details, and then we're actually going to log into the console and go through the steps. So we start with an introduction where we just explain the scenario and what we're looking to do in a fictional company. We then go on to provide you consultant's feedback. Now, again, this is fictional. It's as if you've brought a consultant into your business and asked for help with a solution to issues that you might have from a DevSecOps perspective. You could see some of those issues there. If you read through these options here, the consultant's feedback, you can then choose to take the feedback and make decisions on your own, be creative with how you want to build the chatbot. But most of you are probably going to want to use a module section down here that actually gives you the step-by-step and how to use AWS services to build a chatbot. You also have two different options, and we're going to go through these modules, by the way, in a few minutes. But you also have two different options here in terms of start building. And one is if you're at an AWS event where you get a sandbox environment, but you could also do it in your own account. And if you do use your own account, we've provided what's called a CloudFormation template to run some resources that will then get generated and built in your account and allow you to continue with the workshop. So let's dive into the details. So the first thing that you're going to be doing is actually downloading some sample data and uploading that data into what's called an S3 bucket. That's our object storage service. You're going to place that data there so that the solution can essentially use those files. We mentioned earlier what something called RAG, and so our foundation models as well as the indexing, it's going to use the files that you place in here to do so. And those files are going to be PDF files. Again, in our case, they are geared towards DevSecOps, but you can choose to use other files for other use cases as well. The second step here is we're going to use our Amazon Kendra service, which is going to index the data source, in our case, S3. And we're going to go in there. We've created an index for you. So all you're going to need to do here is add a data source pointed at S3 and then go from there. You also have the option to do these modules here. This one is to not only to create that S3 data source, but you could choose to create another data source for a web crawler, and you could pick any website you want to do that. Again, in our case, we're going to be more specific for DevSecOps, but you could choose any website you want. Module 2B here is a way to create an index from scratch, because as I mentioned, we've pre-created an index for you just to save time, but if you want to go through the steps of creating an index yourself, you could do that. That's just an optional addition. You don't need to do this, and it doesn't necessarily have to even work within your chatbot, but just something that you could choose to do. After that, we're going to enable the Amazon Bedrock service. Amazon Bedrock is, of course, our service that allows you to very easily use foundation models with an API. You're going to have to go in here and enable the foundation models that you want to use. The next module after that is called SageMaker Studio. This is where you're going to use an IDE within SageMaker and actually do the coding that's necessary. Now, we've provided much of the code, but you'll need to work in here to start creating your chatbot. You'll then test your chatbot with multiple LLMs. So that's going to be great to see how you could very easily switch between language models. And finally, you'll be able to deploy the chatbot to an actual virtual server. In our case, it's an EC2 instance. So let's go back to S3. I've already downloaded this data, but I'm going to click on this just so you could see. It'll just download it to your local environment. Once you do that, we're going to jump into the AWS console. I'm going to click on S3 here, and you're going to find a pre-created bucket here. You're actually going to find two, so be careful to select the right one, the one without the logging. Click on there. I'm going to click on the upload button, and I'm going to click on add files. I've selected my files, and I'm going to click on upload. And you can see the files have been added. I'm going to click on close. As I mentioned, the next step is to go to Kendra. So we're going to do that. I'm going to search for Kendra here. And we've switched regions accidentally, so we need to make sure that we're in the right region. In this case, it's the Oregon region. And in fact, I'm going to go back and make sure that I'm in, I placed the files in the right region as far as S3. But let's click on add data source. Oh, sorry, missed a section here. One thing we need to do is copy our index ID. Okay, I'm going to copy that index ID, and I'm just going to place it into a notepad just so that I have it for later. Click on Add Data Sources. I'm going to search for S3 in here, add the connector for S3, and in our module, we have the name that we're going to name our index. You don't have to use this, but just for ease of use, we're going to do that. Click on Next. We need a role for security purposes in AWS. You always want to give access to the service to actually do something. And in this case, we've pre-created a role which gives Kendra, in this case, the ability to do what it needs to do. But you could also click on Create a New Role if you want to do so. I'm going to click on Next, and we're going to browse and point Kendra at our S3 bucket. Right, that's the one where we place those PDF files. And finally, down here, we're going to click on Run on Demand for the sync schedule. You could actually pick any of these other options. In production, in the real world, you may want the index to be synchronized hourly, weekly, monthly, etc., or on a custom schedule. Click on Next. Here you've got the field mappings that are done for you automatically, but you can decide to customize this depending on your use. Click on Next, and finally I'm going to click on Add Data Source. Okay, now that takes just a couple of seconds, and it's very important at the end of that to click on Sync Now. In our case, again, that's because we picked manual sync. I'm going to let that sync for a while. Now you could, at this point, we can move on to the next step while it's syncing. Hopefully that will just take a couple of minutes, and then we could use it. All right, we're going to skip these modules in this video, and we're going to go straight to setting up Amazon Bedrock. So let's look for Bedrock. And in this step, again, all we're doing is giving access to Bedrock. And we're going to click on Model Access down here. I'm going to click on Manage Model Access. And in our case, we're only going to need 2 different models today. Again, in your situation, if you want to play with other models, feel free to allow those as well. Today, we're going to be using Titan Text G1 Express, as well as Claude Instant from Anthropic. And I'm going to click on Request Model Access. In some cases, a form will pop up asking for more information. And let's see if that happens here. Now, we've gotten access to Titan T1 Express. You can see here. And the Claude Instant one is staying in progress. That should just take a few moments. Okay, once that happens, you can move on to the next step. And I'm going to hand things over to my colleague Mohit for that.
Hi everyone. Now we are going to use the SageMaker Studio as an IDE to build this chatbot. So I'm already in the SageMaker Studio. I have leveraged Studio Classic and have opened the new terminal. The next step would be to do a quick git clone of the repository which has all the code you need to build a chatbot. This is done. Let's now move into the folder which we just created. Now, what do you need here? You would need here the Kendra index ID, which you already created before, so you can export it as an environmental variable. So let's just do this. And let's find the Kendra index ID. Let's just grab this index ID enter it right here. Now you develop this code using Python. So we are going to use pip as a Python package manager to install a set of programs that are listed in the requirements text file. We are using a Streamlit, an open source app framework which allows our data scripts into shareable web pages in minutes. And this is all done using pure Python. After this requirement text file is run, let's now quickly run our Streamlit app. The Streamlit app is running. It's time to test our chatbot. Just copy the URL here, all the way like this. Think of this as your dev environment and just make very changes. You should see the Streamlit app coming. Voila, here we go. This is your chatbot. Now, as a part of the code, we gave you some sample prompts. Let's test out and see how does this prompts work. You can see that we got a response given by this Gen AI powered chatbot, and to reduce hallucinations or false positives, it's also giving you the sources from which it got the response. You can ask it several questions based on what you think would be a good idea for DevSecOps. If you have the right documents uploaded, it will give the appropriate responses. We have tested with Titan as the model. Let's test out with an additional model, which is Claude from Anthropic. To do that, let's stop the server. Control C, clear the screen, and let's try to give it a different argument for Anthropic. Again, your Streamlit app is running in the browser. Let's do a refresh. And here you go. Now you have a chatbot now powered by a different LLM model. Let's ask it a similar question. And let's see what response we get. So now you got a different response. So again, based on the model you select, your response might slightly vary. Again, it is giving you the right sources. Here we go. This shows you how you are able to quickly create a chatbot with different LLMs models. alternative. So now, as you can see, this is deployed in your local dev environment. As you can see, how can you share it, a chatbot with some of your teammates? So for this, let's go back to our terminal. Let's stop the server, clear the screen, and basically we are going to zip our complete folder. So just make sure where we are, and just go one level up, and just run a simple zip command. Now you're going to copy the zip file to a S3 bucket. You can feel free to give name of any S3 bucket you would like. For this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my S3, and just get the bucket name. Using the AWS CLI command, copy the zip file to your desired S3 bucket location. Once this is done, let's run a Cloud Machine template to spin up an EC2 instance to deploy a chatbot and allow the chatbot to be accessed publicly. Now we're showing you the art of possible. I would recommend to have the right security guardrails when you're deploying this publicly, but this is one mechanism which we have developed to deploy the chatbot. Now that you have created this EC2 instance, let's check it out and see if you can access your chatbot publicly. Click on this link. There you go. This is one way now you can export your chatbot publicly. Well, thank you again for coming and watching our video. We look forward to hearing your comments and seeing how can you use this idea for your own use case. Feel free to reach out to us on some social media handles. We're happy to respond to you and see how we can help you in your Gen AI journey.